My name is Tyler Donaldson, and I'm with Tripp Johnson and Jake Robinson, and this is the Finest Shoes Company presentation. In the beginning, we had no solid strategy. The only thing that we did was separate the duties, and it continued like this until we reached the 3-year plan. And with this, we decided to employ a low-cost strategy, meaning that we wanted to have a lower cost than our rivals. And regarding the charter, this was held as the law of the land. Any issues that were handled among the team was referenced to the charter, and that really helped us out. It also helped in good communication as well. So, just reiterating, anything that happened among the team was referred to the charter, and it was eventually worked out. Now on to a chart, the image rating of our company, or the credit rating, I'm sorry. We really tried to clear our debts as fast as possible. As you can see, by year 12, we had an A+ credit rating. We just wanted to make sure that all of the revenues that we earned, all of the profit that we pulled in, went to us and not to other people. We decided that debt was bad, and for a company like this, we needed all the money in our pocket as we can. Our image rating, it went down, as you can see. Part of this could be due to the fact that maybe our strategy didn't work. Maybe due to our costs not being as low as we wanted them to. We needed to raise our prices in order to return a revenue or return a profit, and that maybe didn't sit well in the eyes of our customers. Maybe it could also be to ethical issues. Maybe we didn't use recycled shipping as we should have, and that maybe caused some environmentalists or anyone else that, don't get me wrong, they have a good standing with me, but maybe the fact that we didn't use these recycled shipping methods, maybe that didn't sit well in the eyes of our customers. And now we go to Tripp for the production.
Our production strategy the first few years was to produce around 500 pairs a year, solely in the North American and Asia Pacific region, as these make up the vast majority of consumers around the world. And I'm going to share my screen and show a production schedule that we came up with. As you can see, in year 11, we decided to ramp up production a bit in the North American region because of the rise in our stock price, and also because our wholesale revenue increased a good bit from year 10. The next few years consisted of similar production numbers in this region as wholesale revenue began to drop. In year 15, after our brand name had increased somewhat, we decided to expand production into the Europe and Africa region along with the Latin American region to combat the yearly drop, or the drop in our yearly revenues and our stock price. Our total labor costs remained stable throughout the years as we regularly gave out incentive pay to empower employees, along with providing pay for overtime most years, supervisory compensation, along with base wages. Didn't really fluctuate much. This is a competitive or strategic group analysis of our competitors. As you can see in the internet segment, our closest competitors are G, A, and E, and because they all have similar market share sizes, G seems to be our closest competitor as they have the same retail price and a similar SQ rating. And as you can see in the wholesale market, we also compete with G, A, and E. Our closest competitor in this segment seems to be E because they have a similar wholesale price, SQ rating, and a market share. So that's it for the branded production and the strategic group analysis. I think throughout this whole game, I learned how to assess the risk of each decision that was made, how to analyze competitive opportunities that came up through in the industry, and how to think about strategies that will affect the future growth of our company. I think I also learned that it's important to maintain incentives for employees on a consistent basis. I feel like I didn't offer, being in charge of the production strategy, I didn't offer enough incentive pay or overtime pay, which ended up hurting our image rating, I think. Another thing I learned was that customer service is crucial in creating a brand image, as I feel like we kind of had a lack of customer benefits such as a high quality value of shoes or free shipping. And I also felt like I gained a great deal of knowledge on analyzing operating reports, recognizing the effectiveness of placing emphasis on certain costs, and just in general evaluating the financial position of companies.
So the earnings per share trend actually started about the $2 mark at the beginning of the strategy game. And then through year 15, we actually saw pretty steady growth up to about the $4 mark. And then unfortunately in that year 15 to year 16 window, there was a pretty steep drop off and it fell a little bit closer to $1. But after some readjustments, we actually managed to get it back on track and moving back up to that $4 mark. So even though we did see that sharp decline for that 1 year window there, that suggests by looking at the trend that we actually managed to get everything kind of corrected and moving back in the right direction, so that once we got to year 20, we were back up near that $4 mark that we had seen as the high point in year 15. You can kind of say the same thing about the stock price. It's comparable. It is a little bit different, but as you can see by looking at this box I've highlighted here, so we started at $32.90 at the end of our first year. Second year jumped up to $50.03, which is a pretty healthy jump. Then there is a little bit of up and down, some shifting for the next few years. Finally getting to year 17, where we actually had the lowest stock price of any of the teams in the game at just under $8. However, when you look at years 18 through 20, you do see that upward trend again that correlates with the earnings per share, which suggests that if the game were to have continued beyond year 20, we actually would have been able to have corrected the trend line enough that the stock price was rising again and was headed back up in the right direction. So even though we did see a down point there, if the game were to have continued beyond that year 20 point, I think it's safe to say that we would have continued to see healthy growth in the year-end stock price. So now that we're finished, we can look back and we can say why we finished where we did and what we would do differently. And the first thing would probably be an earlier determination of our team strategy. This is because we really didn't get super serious about defining what our strategy was going to be until we got to the end of year 3, when we had to put together the team strategy and the charter and all those things. If we were to play the game again, and it would create a little bit different environment because now we understand how to play the game. We have a little bit more knowledge than we did when we started. But if we were to go back and do it again, I think we would go back from year 1 and try to determine that strategy earlier. I think we would go back and try to dictate whether or not we wanted to include the private label, whether or not we wanted to include different price points. I think that would create a difference in terms of kind of the return we saw over the course of the game. The other thing is, as a low-cost strategy provider, we decided not to go with the private label offering. Obviously, that didn't work out, which is unfortunate, but it is a learning experience, and I think we could say if we were to go back and do it again, that is something that we would want to include. It might help us reach different demographics, might help us reach different consumers. It would have offered something different than what we had, and we thought at the time, our logic was that we would be able to attract a more generic base of consumers with that low-cost option. But in hindsight, maybe having that private label offering or that premium offering might have done something to give us the extra leg up and promote a little bit better brand image, and maybe something that would have helped increase revenue and increase sales over the time that we were playing the strategy game.